home recordings, are they good enough for I mean, I guess now we could say anything is, now that Billie Eilish recorded in her bedroom and is the biggest star ever. But I think that's probably something that maybe a lot of writers worry about if they want to get into, maybe pitching for film and TV. Is what they're doing at home good enough, or should they be going to a studio or some combination of the two?
It again depends. It depends where your skill level is with your home studio. The one thing that I do recommend that people don't fall into is thinking that you need a $3,000 microphone. You don't. You get by with a $200 microphone. And nobody in the industry has ever said, I love that song, I want to use it, but that dude didn't use a $3,000 microphone. Look, the average 3-year-old Mac laptop with a reasonable amount of RAM in it, and a decently fast processor, can run an awful lot of audio production software that sounds like records. It's up to you, the user, to learn how to use the software well, because I know taxi members that have like a 10-year-old sample library that probably cost $300 back in the day, but they've learned how to use it so well that their strings sound.
You're cutting out.
Oh, yeah. All of a sudden I heard like what sounded like a jet flying over.
Oh, that was over here. Yeah, there's a truck outside. It passed though.
Oh, okay. I've got a guy with a really loud, like, tuner BMW right below my office window that seems to always fire it up, brum, bum, 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 right in the middle of the show. So anyway, so yeah, a guy with an old, inexpensive library who knows how to use it really well, knows how to nail the articulations on the strings, is going to get a much better end result than somebody who just went out and bought a $2,000 sample library or virtual library of strings that doesn't understand how string players play, doesn't know how to emulate that with the right kind of articulations. I always call it like the 32-foot-long bow. I don't care if it's recorded, in some awesome studio in Austria with a $3,000 microphone. It's still going to sound like because the person operating it didn't know what the hell they were doing.
Right.
So, you know what? Now that we're all basically being asked to stay home, this is a great opportunity to learn how to master those things that you never felt you had time for before.
That's a great point. And actually, what you were saying about the somebody who just gets a sample library makes me think, like, a lot of people are always chasing like the shiny object syndrome. It's like always just wanting the next thing, but you never mastered what you just got, whether it's like gear or just like a skill or something. It's like, you probably, like, simplistically, you can make great stuff. You can make a great track with just an acoustic guitar and, singing.
Yeah. That's right. If it's a great song and your vocal performance is really appropriate for that great song, you could probably record it into the built-in microphone in your laptop, and it would work. Billie Eilish has proved this because it's about the material and the delivery of the material. Can I make somebody cry? Can I make them feel joy? Does this song somehow, in some way, connect with large numbers of people? Very few people, other than those of us who are afflicted with a passion for audio and home recording, very few people are going to say, I love this song, but the bass sound's just not working for me.
Right. Yeah. It's funny, too, like how you can get lost on little details that won't really matter to anybody else but yourself.
Right.
Like, like a little editing thing, and you hear it every time. Or sometimes you don't even notice it after you stop listening to the song for like a week or so. And then you come back to it, and then it's like you don't even know. So it's like you can focus on like stupid stuff that only you're hearing, that nobody else even cares about. It's easy to get lost down that rabbit hole.
In the mid to late 70s, I worked with a lot of really big artists in the studio. I was blessed to have a very fortunate career path. And, I've worked with Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young, Neil Young, Eric Clapton, Firefall, all these great people. And most of what I worked on has been relegated to being played through ceiling speakers in grocery stores now. So I will literally be walking down the aisle in a grocery store and hear something I worked on in 1977 and go, crap, I still feel like the vocals should have been louder than that.
Right.
So you just got to with it at some point.
And
Yeah.
that's the thing too. It's like you can keep working on the same song forever and maybe arguably make it minutely better here and there. But at
Yeah.
some point you just have to like pencils down, you're done. Like it's done. you know.
As a matter of fact, in a few hours, I'm heading over to Ken Callay, who's the co-producer of
Mhm.
Fleetwood Mac Rumors and Tusk and another record I can't remember the name of. And I'm going to interview him. I interviewed him at the Road Rally last November, and today we're going to talk about the album Tusk, and we're going to do it live on Taxi TV. And Ken is passionate about talking about his mixing style back then in particular, and I'm sure still true today. He plays the console like an instrument. Nowadays, everything is automated. I mean, you kids today, it's like every little thing is memorized into automation. Back in our day, you were lucky if the fader moves were automated, and the information, the digital information for that automation was frequently recorded on track 24 of the 2-inch multi-track tape. So it wasn't non-destructive. In other words, if you made a second pass, it would take the digital memory of the first pass, combine it with the second pass, but you couldn't go backwards back to the first pass again like you can today. So therefore, most of us really mixed pretty much like Ken talks about, where you play the mix, you're feeling it, and you're doing it live from top to bottom. You're not working in sections. Sometimes you did, but most of the time you didn't. And maybe it was 2 or 3 people at the console, and you go, Bob, bring up fader number 23, 1/4 of an inch on the downbeat of the chorus right now. And Bob would bring it up, and then at the end of the chorus, Bob would bring it back down 1/4 of an inch. So we didn't have perfection, is my
Right.
long-winded way of saying it. We had to accept the imperfections, but I think that the mixing in the moment without all that automation forced us to get more creative and play the console more like an instrument. I think in many cases the result may have been better.
And that, can be one of those drawbacks of technology that we have now, is that there's that time consuming aspect where just because you can spend hours like, trying to figure out exactly how the fade should be at the end of a song, whether, the right millisecond adjustment that happens there, doesn't mean you should necessarily be working on that.
My favorite phrase, just because you can doesn't
Right.
mean you should. So yeah, I'm happy that you get that.
Yeah, no, it's a great point, because I think it applies with so much today. Like there's so much you can do with digital technology, especially in audio recording. But even when you think about like being on your phones and stuff, how they're such a great tool, but it can waste so much time too. The same applies to making music. You could do the same thing.
Your viewers can find out more at taxi.com, taxi.com. Honestly, would I love to capture somebody's email address? Yes. But you know what? By giving us their email address, which can be done with a red button on the homepage, they can start getting emails every day to see all the opportunities that our paying customers are getting. And they can determine, are there enough requests for music that I either have or can do that I should think about joining Taxi.
Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that video. If you want more information on improving your home recordings, I've got a cheat sheet for you that you can download by tapping on the screen here. And if you haven't yet subscribed to our YouTube channel to stay updated on the latest songwriting videos, you can tap our logo on the screen for that. I'll also have links for that stuff below this video. So thanks again for checking this video out, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Take care.
I'm just sitting here alone.